center with a couple of outs. Now he'll face David Wright. Right 2-4, he has scored the lone Mets run tonight. Let's try to avoid a 4-game losing streak. Wright takes it high. It's an odd feeling in the ballpark right now, to be perfectly honest with you at home. Some of the crowd chanting USA, USA, obviously aware of the news. As ABC News is reporting that Osama bin Laden has been killed. Other people probably have no idea what's going on. Maybe the people who have the least idea of all this, the players who are wondering what the heck's going on right now.
Exactly. I would think in the bottom half of the inning that the USA chant will get stronger because it's going word of mouth around the stadium, person to person, of why it's happening. And the next time the chant starts, we get more and more voices.
Concerned that Nancy Pelosi and others can't be trusted with this kind of information?
Well, I guess the only thing is they were talking about why didn't I give the information to Adam Schiff and his committee? And the answer is because I think Adam Schiff is the biggest leaker in Washington. You know that, I know that, we all know that. I've watched Adam Schiff leak. He's a corrupt politician. He's a leaker like nobody's ever seen before.
Breaking news in the impeachment inquiry just in the last hour. Democrats now preparing for a House vote on a resolution that will set up the next public phase of the impeachment inquiry, a vote that's expected this Thursday. That news comes as the White House continues to argue that the inquiry lacks the necessary authorization for a valid impeachment proceeding and follows last week's theatrics on Capitol Hill from Republicans clamoring for more transparency. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announcing the vote in a statement addressing the Trump administration's stonewalling campaign directly. She writes this, quote, "We are taking this step to eliminate any doubt as to whether the Trump administration may withhold documents, prevent witness testimony, disregard duly authorized subpoenas, or continue obstructing the House of Representatives." The announcement comes at a consequential moment in the impeachment inquiry, one that may ultimately determine whether the public will ever hear from the man who described the president's chief of staff and personal lawyer as engaging in a, quote, drug deal when it came to U.S.-Ukrainian relations and complained to aides that Rudy Giuliani was a, quote, hand grenade who was going to blow everybody up with his rogue foreign policy. New York Times reports on the high-stakes legal dispute about Kupperman, that's Bolton's deputy, and potentially Bolton himself's testimony with this reporting, quote, from the man who described the president's chief of staff and I'm sorry, this is something we've already read. Let me get
one of those investigations, the Durham Barr probe into the origins of this Russia witch hunt, it is now heating up. The Department of Justice is now giving U.S. Attorney John Durham the power to file criminal charges, subpoena witnesses, convene a grand jury. During an interview with Fox News, the Attorney General, William Barr, he praised Durham and the progress he is making all while taking a pretty not-so-veiled shot at the corrupt, fired FBI director, James Comey, Mr. Super Patriot himself. Too bad I missed him at Politico. Take a look.
We'll let the chips fall where they may. I think they all know John Durham's reputation, and we'll just see how it turns out. But I do want to say that one of the reasons Mr. Durham is able to make the kind of progress he's making is because Director Wray and his team at the FBI have just been outstanding in the support and responsiveness they've given to Mr. Durham. As you know, I've said previously that I felt there was a failure of leadership at the Bureau in 2016 and part of 2017.
On the same topic, much of the mainstream media appeared unimpressed as the president announced the death of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
President Trump has repeatedly celebrated what he calls the defeat of ISIS, but he hasn't talked much personally about al-Baghdadi by name.
It's also the kind of thing that Americans expect presidents to accomplish.
Here to debate if the media's take on President Trump's successfully ordered special operations mission is justified, Turning Point USA spokesperson Rob Smith and Democratic strategist Sasha. Rob, obviously a major moment for the president and administration, and it's great news for them. What did you make of the media's response?
Well, I thought the media's response was typically negative. The only thing that the mainstream media can do when it comes to covering this president is either ignoring when things go well, as in unemployment, as in the First Step Act, as in a lot of different things, and downplaying when they do go well. So there is something about the death of this terrorist that should not be a partisan thing. We should all be very happy as Americans that an ISIS leading terrorist that was a genocidal murdering maniac is dead.
Right.
This should be a good thing. This is not something that should be litigated in the media right now, and we have people trying to spin this negatively, and I think that this is why people do not trust the media anymore. It is very obvious to anybody that's seeing that this is being spun.
Sure. Sasha, the media has a hard time celebrating a win for the president. You agree with that?
Rob, if I could say first, I just want to say thank you to the special forces who carried this out with such skill and bravery. They keep us safe every day, and we are grateful. In terms of the criticism of the president, there are two sides of it. One is just sort of the Trump show that he put on yesterday that the media can't help but react to. But more importantly, the criticism comes from the fact that this operation was successful for the very things that Trump either doesn't support or disparages. And that's that we had the forces on the ground and our intelligence. We had the support of the Kurds, who we've just abandoned. And we had the ability to be there. So our pulling out of Syria, which has been condemned by national security experts, by officials on both sides, that doesn't go away. ISIS is not gone. This is a great day for victory, or a great victory for the U.S. and for the world. But ISIS isn't gone, and we need to remain vigilant.
Go on here to talk about how the Washington Post covered this story. They had an obituary of which they had to change the headline for 3 times. We're going to take a look at the first headline from the WAPO. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, Islamic State's terrorist-in-chief, dies at 48. That one seems fairly appropriate. They update that to say, austere religious scholar at helm of Islamic State. And a lot of people, especially on Twitter, just went nuts wondering why that was the changed headline. And then they changed it kind of back. And they went back to extremist leader of Islamic State dies at 48 years old. It's almost like, Rob, they're trying to pander to anybody that might be offended by the death of this man.
I mean, at this point, when you look at the headline, I think the Washington Post thought that they were being too nice to the murderous, genocidal, rapist terrorist. And that's what you see when they did the change to that headline. But I think that you'll look at this a lot with the mainstream media. We look back a couple months back when the New York Times changed their headline, when the president did a speech, Trump urges unity versus racism, and then they changed it to something else because the woke Twitter left was upset at that headline. So what you see with the mainstream media right now is that they are completely beholden to the far woke left on Twitter, and I don't think it's a good thing for our media.
Sasha, austere religious scholar for al-Baghdadi, what do you make of that?
You know, Rob, I heard that Adolf Hitler, aspiring artist and longtime boyfriend of Eva Braun, died.
Right.
Too. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I mean, the first headline works, the third headline works. What happened in the middle? Maybe they got hacked. So maybe Adam Schiff wrote it. I have no idea what they were thinking.
I'm loving it.
Joy Reid.
Hey, we're all getting along here. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Sasha. It's good to have a debate where at least one thing we agree on anyway.
All right, this matter they're voting on in the House on Thursday is a resolution, but I'm told it is not formally an impeachment resolution. Democrats have repeatedly been pushing back on the phrasing. That's according to RF Chad Pergram, Hillary Vaughn covering this on Capitol Hill. It's technically a resolution crafting the parameters of the ongoing impeachment investigation, an impeachment-related resolution, to use Chad Pergram's wording. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but that's not even English. So I really can't understand what's going on. But fortunately, we have a very good lawyer with us right now, Attorney Sam Dewey. He's worked on both House and Senate investigations when it comes to these matters. Sir, thank you for joining us. What would you call this that they're voting on Thursday, what you know of it?
Neil, thank you for having me. I would call this, first and foremost, a recognition by Speaker Pelosi and others that the process that has been run has not been following formal precedents of historical fairness, and actually a recognition that Chairman Schiff's process is probably illegal under House rules.
So what's illegal is what? The secretive nature, which is one party running everything, the secret testimony, the other party not involved in that. Explain what is illegal here, or potentially.
Absolutely. What is illegal here is that Chairman Schiff doesn't have jurisdiction to conduct an impeachment inquiry. And because of that, he can't be engaged in the formal impeachment process, and that's a point of House jurisdiction. And that's actually the very arguments that Speaker Pelosi and others were making in the case related to grand jury materials supported that fact. If there's any committee that arguably has jurisdiction, it's the Judiciary Committee, not Mr. Schiff's committee. So I think
that's been the history, right? I mean, in the past, that's where all things impeachment related have gone through that committee. Now, Nancy Pelosi made the decision to move House Intelligence and Schiff, in this case, over Jerry Nadler, to this point position. But Nadler himself is famous for saying, we better make sure, and I'm paraphrasing here, we've got everything together to present to a skeptical public. That was months ago. How do you feel things have advanced since then?
I don't think things have advanced much at all, both as a matter of law and as a matter of the procedure. There's a reason that in every other presidential impeachment, there's been a formal authorization and there's been an open process, because that was the right thing to do. And that's what Speaker Albert and Chairman Rodino concluded. And that's what Speaker Gingrich and Chairman Hyde concluded at the start of the Clinton impeachment.
So, Sam, what would happen then if this resolution also calls for depositions conducted by the Intel Committee for transcripts of those depositions to be made publicly available? How far would that advance the fairness argument that this isn't sort of like a loaded cabal against the president and, for that matter, Republicans?
I actually think it's very interesting because I don't think it advances it at all, and I think that particular part of the resolution actually decreases fairness. Under the existing deposition rules, Chairman Schiff has authority to release the transcripts, but he needs the concurrence of the ranking member to do so, and if the ranking member doesn't concur, it goes to a public vote. These new resolutions give Chairman Schiff not only unilateral power to release deposition transcripts as he sees fit, when he sees fit, but they give him the right to edit those transcripts to remove other sensitive matters. So we've had a process that's been closed door, marked with leaks that violate the rules, and now this resolution would give Chairman Schiff unilateral power to release edited transcripts.
Hence the concern of Republicans that is what they're voting on and they don't like it. Samuel Dewey, you actually got through my thick skull. I understood a lot of that. Thank you very, very much.
Ask you though really quickly about President Trump's remarks about Baghdadi himself whimpering, screaming, dying like a dog. Do you know, have you gotten any sense whether or not Trump would have had a live audio of that raid and where that possibly, that piece of information, that very specific piece of information that Trump reiterated over and over again over the past couple of hours came from?
So there are two things to keep in mind here. Number one, they would have had some audio coming back from someone there saying, giving them updates, telling them things like, you know, okay, team has landed, okay, team has done this. There would have been those kinds of audio updates, right? So what we know about how and where Baghdadi died from President Trump himself is that he went into one of these tunnels near or underneath this house, taking 3 children with him, and that it was actually a dog that went in. So if the dog had a camera that had some sort of audio source that was feeding live video back, that's really the only way that President Trump or anyone in the Situation Room could have been getting live audio feed. I can't say with certainty whether in fact the dog would have had a camera with audio on it. It would be uncommon for that to necessarily be the case, but we can't say with certainty. Look, these guys are always coming up with new technology and new capabilities, so that's a detail, believe me, that we've been asking a lot of questions about, but I can't say with certainty one way or the other.
And that's why the dog was so great. We actually had a robot to go in the tunnel, but we didn't get it because we were tracking him very closely, but we had a robot just in case, because we were afraid he had a suicide vest on, and if you get close to him and he blows it up, you're going to die. You're going to die.